Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavana Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat Pranam all Vaishnavas. So we will begin with Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan is the auspicious invocation calling on the presence, the grace, the mercy, the blessings, the sidelong glances of our beloved Gurudev, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, all of our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, our 6 Goswamis, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Shachinandan Gaura Hari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, going all the way back to the original Guru who is Krishna himself and his Guru of Prem, Vrishabhananandani, Srimati Radhika. Radhikar Prema Guru Ami Shishya Nata. So we'll be calling on all of their mercy and grace. Also, I'm very excited. Today is day 6.
5.
Is it 5? I can't remember anymore.
I think it's 5.
Okay. Today is, you can tell me, of Ram-katha.
Also, it's Rudra Gupta's birthday.
Today.
I don't know if he's there, but
He will be. So today is also Rudra Gupta's birthday. So make sure you have your flowers ready for the end of the program so that we can wish him birthday blessings. Dandavat Pranam, all Vaishnavas. Tomorrow, if we do not finish the Ramayana today, which I doubt we will, because there are so many beautiful details, we may have to resume it after tomorrow, because for us here tomorrow is Balaram Rasa Yatra, Basanti Ras of Krishna, which is springtime Ras, and Shyamananda Prabhu's day. So there's so many holy days all lumped into one with very, very important information, transcendental details. So we will focus on the glories of that particular day, and then again we will resume Ram-katha, and then from there we have to resume the Karuna Yavatirna Kalo probably for one day, and then we will begin Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, Mangalacharan is page 1 of this beautiful Bhajan treasure trove, Sri Gauriya Giti Gucha, Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Padakamalam, Shri Gurum Vaishnavangscha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana, Raghunathan Vitam Tang Sajivam, Sadvetam Savadhutam, Parjana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana, Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Shri Mar Bhakti Vedanta Narayanitti Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunaischa Yuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvang Shirashan Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabjitaikhridni Chaitanya Leela Amritasarasaram Narayanam Tvang Satatam Prapadye Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nittinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Shri Mar Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Yutti Namine Ati Martya Charitraya Swashritanam Chapaline Jiva Dukhe Sadartaya Shri Nama Prema Dahine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahayan Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dhvantaharine Namo Gaur Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Padambu Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Minodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugabbarayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestvang Nirdeshtha Sajanapriya Vaishnava Sarva Bhoma Shri Jaganathayate Namaha Mancha Kalpataru Bhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatang Surato Pangor Mama Mandam Matergati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Shri Lagovinda Devo Preshthali Sevyamano Smarami Shrimandra Sarasaramhi Vangshivatattatastitaha Karshan Menu Svanair Gopir Gopinatha Shri Estunaha Vrindaye Tulasi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatatpatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Shvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nama Harer Nama Harer Nameva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dandava Pranam all Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe. Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru by Vaishnav Das, page 29. If you do not have our Gaudiya Giti Gucha or the Gaudiya Kirtan app, where you can also find that bhajan, you may scroll to the most recent post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Is he there? Is he there? I don't see that he posted the Mangalacarana. Hopefully he's there. I didn't receive a message from him either. Okay. Generally, and he posts the bhajans. If he is not able to post the bhajans, perhaps any other devotee can fill in for him until he returns. Jai Jai Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru. Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru Adbhuta Jako Parakash Adbhuta Jako Parakash Hiyayogeya Timira Chandra Kirane Karuna Suchandra Kirane Karuna Ihalochana Ihalo Jachito moheno patito heri jo pahu Jachito moheno patito heri jo pahu Chachi deyolo hari naam Chachi deyolo hari naam Duramati agati satata yashate Duramati agati shatata yasate mati nahi sukriti lavanesh nahi sukriti lavanesh Shri Vrindavana Jugala Bhajana Dhana Shri Vrindavana Jugala Bhajana Dhana Tahe Karano Tahe karalo upadesh Niramala Gauram Prema rasa sinchane Niramala Gauram Prema rasa sinchane Puralo jagajano ash Puralo jagajano yash So charanambuje rati nahi hoyalo So charanambuje rati nahi hoyalo Royato Vaishnava das Royato Vaishnava das Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru Jaya Jaya Shri Guru Prema Kalpataru Adbhuta Jako Parakash Adbhuta Jako Parakash Adbhuta Jako Parakash Adbhuta Jako Parakash Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai. Radhe Radhe. Huh?
It was a new Krishna.
Oh, jai. On its own?
Okay, everyone's there.
Okay,
I
that's...
just looked and it was paused.
What? That's strange.
Yeah.
Back. How is that possible?
I don't know.
Did it finish the other? Okay. Sorry about that. So, Pure Cow Seva just came to the door to deliver a key. And so I was just mentioning that most of everywhere is still in kind of some sort of state of lockdown. It's not really a lockdown. For devotees, or aspiring devotees, we can see it as an opportunity to endeavor to go more deeply into our sadhana bhajan. Instead of having to do all of the normal daily grind, going out into the world and dealing with all of that intense rajagun, tamagun material energy, we have an opportunity to go deeply into the teachings of our Gurudev, our Guru Varga, to chant more. I know maybe we're not qualified for Nirjan Bhajan, but anyhow, like Gurudev said, take at least half an hour a day, just you, your mala, your Harinam mala, Harinam Prabhu, and your Gurudev. And in that private, quiet space, weep for Gurudev while chanting Hare Krishna, Ha Gurudev, weeping and weeping. He said, this is more than lakhs and lakhs of Harinam, and this is service to me. He told that directly to Sudevi. So, there's an opportunity always in such situations, depending on how we view them. If we view them from the perspective of a devotee, then we can see that Krishna is providing something favorable. Right? Every situation, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj would always speak about this. The environment is always friendly, is always favorable. What can I take from this situation that I'm in, or that the world is in, that can enhance my endeavor for Krishna Bhakti? How can I see this situation as favorable? Even the most difficult situations which come to us, we can try to look at them from different perspectives. What jewel can I extract from this to increase my thirst for Krishna Bhakti Ras, Krishna Trishna? How can I adjust my consciousness? Instead of fighting with the environment, instead of rebelling against the environment, to accepting and then adjusting instead my consciousness from mundane consciousness to Krishna consciousness. So, at the moment, I was telling you, because we're in lockdown, maybe if we're not spending all of our money on Amazon or anything else, we might have extra income lying around. There's a lot of cows, monkeys, and dogs that are hungry and thirsty in Vrindavan. And if you feel so inclined, there is Pure Cow Seva. So you can always send a little bit their way. It assists so many. First in the morning, Anup Krishna Prabhu and his team, they go all the way around Vrindavan and make sure that all of the street cows and dogs and monkeys are fed. And then they go to Govardhan and do the same thing there. He doesn't finish, and he starts about 7 in the morning and finishes after 3 o'clock. But really, you can see every day they're posting. So if anyone feels, oh, I got some extra cash lying around, maybe I can do a little bit of Brajabasi Animal Seva, Pure Cow Seva, and the way you can access them is PayPal, anandinijagana@gmail.com. Okay. So, No one is telling me to do this. I'm feeling it from my heart, so I'm just sharing with you. And now we're going to call for the mercy of the Vaishnavas. That's one of the reasons. You never know who you're doing seva for, who you're helping, and how that will increase one's bhakti sukriti. Especially for Brajbasis. And Brajbasis, by that I mean those whose consciousness are saturated with the mood of loving service to Krishna. This is the true Brajbasi according to our Guru Dev's teaching. A Baro Karuna Koro, page 44 by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. E Baro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Gosai. E Baro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Gosai. Patita pavana toma bine ke ho nai. Patita pavana toma bine ke ho nai. Kaharo te gele papa dure jai. Kaharo nikate gele papa dure jai. Te mono doyalo Prabhu e bakotha paya. Te mono doyalo Prabhu e bakotha paya. Gangaro parasya hoile Pashtate pavon. Gangaro parasya hoile Pashtate pavon. Darshane pavitra koro darshane pavitra koro e tomaro hari sthane aparadhe tare hari naam. Hari sthane aparadhe tare hari naam. Toma sthane aparadhe nahi koe अपराधे नाहि कोए राम तुम्हारो हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम तुम्हारो हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम गोविंद को हे नमः वैष्णव पराम गोविंद को हे नमः वैष्णव पराम प्रति जन्मे होरी आशा चरणेरो धूली प्रति जन्मे कोरी आशा चरणेरो धूली नरोत्तमे कोरो दया आपनारो बोहि नरोत्तमे कोरो दया आपनारो बोहि एबारो करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई 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 पतित पावन तुम्हा बिने के हो नाय पतित पावन तुम्हा बिने के हो नाय जय वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव ठाकुर प्रभु कृपा करो मोरे दया करो 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 ऑल वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय Now we will call for the mercy of Sri Rupa Goswami. Young Kali Rupa Sarira na Dharata, page 47 by Sri Madhav Das. Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, 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 Anbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kudharita, Anbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kudharika, Onakapata Ugharata, Onakapata Ugharata, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, Nirakirahangsana Pano Vidhayono, Nirakirahangsana Pano Vidhayono, Nirakirahangsana Pano Vidhayono, Nirakirahangsana Pano Vidhayono, Ona Pritaka Karipayata, Ona Pritaka Karipayata, O Sabbatyaji Bhaji Vrindavana, O Sabbatyaji Bhaji Vrindavana, Ko Sabbagrantha Virachita, Ko Sabbagrantha Virachita, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, Jab Pituvano Phula Phala Tonana Vidha, Jab Pituvano Phula Phala Tonana Vidha, Manoraji Arovinda, Manoraji Arovinda, So Madhukar Binu Pan ko na janata, So Madhukar Binu Pan ko na janata, Vidyam Mano Karibandha, Vidyam Mano Karibandha, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, Yang Kali Rupa Shariran Dharata, O Janata Mathura Vrindavano, O Janata Mathura Vrindavano, O Janata Mathura Vrindavano, Yankalirupa Shariranadharata Jakara Charana Prasade Sakala Jana Jakara Charana Prasade Sakala Jana Gai Gavai Sukha Pavato Gai Gavai Sukha Pavato Charana Kamale Sharanagata Madho Charana Kamale Sharanagata Madho Tava Mahima Uralagata Tava Mahima Uralagata Yankali Rupa Shariranadharata Yankali Rupa Shariranadharata Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutarika Tanbraja Prema Mahanidhi Kutarika Konakapata Udharata Konakapata Udharata Yankali Rupa Shariranadharata Yankali Rupa Shariranadharata Rupa Gosami Prabhu Rupa Gosami 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 Prabhu Hai 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 Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki Jai Shri Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai And now we're going to call out for the mercy and grace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, one cannot attain the mercy or shelter of Mahaprabhu. Without the mercy of Mahaprabhu, one cannot attain the mercy or shelter of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Therefore it is said, Heno Nitai Bine Bhai, Radha Krishna Paitenai, Dridha Kori Dharo Nitayar Pai. Without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, you cannot attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, hold on to those two lotus feet with all of your might. In other words, Sri Nityananda Prabhu manifests in this world directly before us in the form of Sri Guru. He is Akhanda Guru Tattva and he manifests in the form of Sri Guru. So holding on tightly to the lotus feet of Sri Guru Dev, we will receive the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, of Sri Sachinandan Gaurahari and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Candra Sushitala, Jai Chayai Jagata Jurai. Again and again, Nitayar Karuna Have, Braje Radha Krishna Pave, Dharo Nitayar Charana Dukani. So that's page 58 by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Candra Sushitala Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Candra Sushitala Jai Chaya Jagat Jurai Jai Chaya Jagat Jurai Heno Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Heno Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Ridha Puri Dharo Nitai Pai Ridha Puri Dharo Nitai Pai Se Sambandho Nahi Jar Bridha Janma Gelo Tad Se Sambandho Nahi Jar Bridha Janma Gelo Tad Se Pashu Boro Durachar Se Pashu Boro Durachar Nitai na bolilo mukhe Majilo sangsara sukhe Nitai na bolilo mukhe Majilo sangsara sukhe Vidyakule ki koriveta Vidyakule ki koriveta Ahankare mata hoya करिया असत्य रे सत्य परिमानी असत्य रे सत्य परिमानी नितायेर करुणा हवे ब्रजे राधा कृष्ण पावे नितायेर करुणा हवे ब्रजे राधा कृष्ण पावे धरो निताय चरण दुखानी धरो निताय चरण दुखानी नितायेर चरण सत्य ताहारो सेवक नित्य नितायेर चरण सत्य ताहारो सेवक नित्य निताय पद सदा करोयाशो निताय पद सदा करोयाशो नरोत्तमो बरो दुखी निताय मोरे करो सुखी नरोत्तमो बरो दुखी निताय मोरे करो सुखी राखो रांगा चरणेरो पाशो राखो रांगा चरणेरो पाशो निताय पद कमल कोटि चंद्र सुशीतल निताय पद कमल कोटि चंद्र सुशीतल जे छाया जगत जुराय जे छाया जगत जुराय जे छाया जगत जुराय जे छाया जगत जुराय दृढ़ कोरी धरो नितायर पाय दृढ़ कोरी धरो नितायर पाय निताय हे निताय हे निताय हे निताय हे ओ निताय हे निताय हे निताय हे निताय हे जय नित्यानंद राम नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम निताय हे गौर हे निताय हे गौर हे निताय Vrindavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Prem Purushottam Shachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Now we're going to call for the mercy of Sri Shachinandan Gaura Hari. Dandavat Pranam. Happy birthday, Rudra Prabhu. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram, page 340. 340? 340. 40. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Nindita Hatako Kanti Kale Baro. Nindita Hatako Kanti Kale Baro. Garbito Maro Marum. Garbito Maro Marum. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram. Madhukara Ranjito Malati Mandito. Madhukara Ranjito Malati Mandito. Jita Ghano Kunchita Kesham. 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 Tilaka Vinindita Shashadhara Rupako. Tilaka Vinindita Shashadhara Rupako. Bhuvano Manoharo Vesham. Bhuvano Manoharo Vesham. Tilaka Vinindita यशधर रूपक भुवन मनोहर वेश भुवन मनोहर वेश सखे कलयो गौरमुदारम् सखे कलयो गौरमुदारम् मधु मधुर स्मित लोभित तनुभृतं मधु मधुर स्मित लोभित तनुभृतम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् अनुपमो भावविलासम् विधुवनो नागरी मोहित मानस निधुवन नागरी मोहित मानस विकथितो गदो गदो भाषं विकथितो गदो गदो भाषं निधुवनो नागरी मोहित मानस विकथितो गदो गदो भाषं विकथितो गदो गदो भाषं सखे कलयो गौरमुदारम् सखे कलयो गौरमुदारम् परम Kalaya Gauram Udaram Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram Sakhe Kalaya Gauram Udaram Shachinandan Jai Gaurahari Shachinandan Jai Gaurahari Jaya Shachinandan Jaya Gaurahari Shachinandan Jai Gaurahari Gaurahe 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 Pati Shri Shachinandana Gaurahari Ki Jai. So a question was asked. Recently, based on something that I spoke, apparently. And they said, from what you said and in the past, I understand that we should not sing if someone with lots of material desires or offenses is leading. But if they are just singing in response, it is okay? Could you please tell us where the Praman is for this? In Jaiva Dharma? Anywhere else? So, it's a very good question. As we know, there are usually no bad questions, but this is a very good question. We were speaking about real kirtan versus cheating kirtan yesterday, and that was the words of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, based on the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which means that all of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas subscribe to this idea and ideal, because they are perfect representatives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're all preaching what Mahaprabhu preached, so they're all doing Gauravani Prachar. So yes, in Jaiva Dharma, and I can't remember specifically, but there was someone who was coming for that purpose, to sing in a way, because of their expertise, to impress everyone. And all of the devotees were unimpressed by it, because they have ruchi or taste for the real thing, not for someone who is expert and showy. So they kind of all just left him to himself. I can't remember his name at the moment, but I remember reading it in Jaiva Dharma. Now, a lot of times, we cannot help ourselves but to be in a kirtan or harikatha where the speaker or the singer, the leader, is, let's say, not free from anarthas and maybe has a heart full of material desires. So it depends on the situation and the circumstance. Our Srila Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj would sometimes have certain persons stand up and speak. And even though he was correcting them and even chastising them, still he would have them speak. At that point I understood that he was speaking through them or utilizing them to teach some lesson. Why am I speaking about speaking? Because the spoken kirtan of Harikatha is also kirtan. not just singing the names or singing the bhajans, but also speaking the katha. If someone has a heart full of material desires, that pretty much, well, I cannot assess where any of you are at, but I could say it goes for most of us who are conditioned souls within this material world. Our hearts are full of so many nasty things. For millions of lifetimes, we're carrying so many karmas and impressions of desire for sense gratification, which come up. If one is exercising, meaning if it comes into the mind and the heart, but they're still endeavoring to serve Guru, Gauranga, Radha and Krishna. Somehow our Guru Varga have given us some license to be able to do kirtan and katha on their behalf. And I'll give you an example. One time I approached Srila Gurudev. I admitted to him that this was in San Diego, many years before. My heart is full of so many anarthas. I have so much lust and anger and greed and madness and envy and pride and all of these things. I asked him, what benefit will others get by hearing my chanting of the names of Krishna or my speaking about Krishna? You've ordered me to do so, but what benefit will others get? And he cut me off and he said, oh, some Shakti will be there because you are under guidance. And so at that moment I realized that it's not me. It's not about me. If I'm endeavoring to follow the order of Guru and endeavoring to try to also apply it in my own life, then something can flow through. Gurudev can work. In the same way our Srila Prabhupada told in that beautiful article, Karunaya Avatirna Kalo. In there he was saying, the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada infused potency into so many who would otherwise be unqualified even for menial work. Meaning the even general menial work. But he infused within them so much Shakti that they could preach the mission of Mahaprabhu everywhere and do kirtan of Mahaprabhu. And in the same way, our Srila Prabhupada also did the same, and our Gurudev and all of our Guru Varga. So many persons who may otherwise be extremely unqualified, Sri Gurudev is instilling or infusing within them, you can call it Shakti Avesh. Shakti Avesh, their potency, or the potency of Nityananda Prabhu, to be able to do amazing, miraculous things despite the disqualification. And Srila Prabhupada said, if everyone thought, well, I'm not qualified, so I won't do kirtan or I won't preach, then what would have become of the preaching mission of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, or our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, or our Gurudev? He said, service to Mahaprabhu includes doing kirtan and preaching. Now, there's another thing. If we are exercising those sense gratificatory desires which manifest in our minds and hearts, if we've let it go from the thinking phase to the feeling phase to the willing phase, and then we are preaching, we will make a mockery of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our Gurudev. Everyone will look and see, oh, you're doing this nonsense activity, that nonsense activity. That's all against your Gurudev, it's against your Guru Varga, it's against Mahaprabhu, and you are claiming to represent them? Or, oh, this is the representation of those? I want nothing to do with it. That is why our Gurudevs, our Guru Varga, have preached so heavily against all kinds of asat, or unreal sangha. Means association with those who are absorbed in the mundane. They preach so heavily against all of the apasampradayas, all of those different groups with conceptions that are directly against the moods and conceptions of Krishna and Mahaprabhu, and doing it, they're speaking it and sharing it in the name of Krishna and Mahaprabhu. Or they're practicing something which is directly opposed to the teachings of Krishna and Mahaprabhu. So for those personalities who are actually acting on it, when they're doing that kirtan, Harikatha, or chanting the names, it can also have a negative desired effect, meaning being the leader. Now, if we who are weak are in the kirtan of those who are more strong, who are, you can say, senior in terms of their depth of bhakti, then that will have a purifying effect on us. And if we're in the kirtan of those who are greedy for kanaka, material wealth, kamini, all kinds of material sense gratification, all kinds of lustful association, and pratishtha, name, fame, position, adoration, all of those things. If we are in that kirtan, then their bhav can also infect us, meaning their mood. That's why Mahaprabhu said to Raghunath Das Goswami, be careful. He said, asat sangatyag, give up unfavorable association, especially that of lusty persons, and even more that of persons who are attached to those who are lusty. And our Gurudev explained this. I was wondering, why is it considered worse? A lusty person may be honest about their situation, but tadiya, in the same way that tadiya in the transcendental realm is more potent than, in essence, the Lord himself. Those who are near and dear and who are attached to the Lord can bring about our affection and attachment to the Lord. In the material world, it's the perverted reflection. So those who are near and dear and attached to those who are extremely lusty, that association is more detrimental for us, interestingly enough. So Mahaprabhu tells Raghunath Das Goswami, be careful for this. And so if those kinds of persons, and that's, of course, most of us, but those who are acting on it, are doing the kirtan, giving Harikatha and leading the kirtan, then also their moods can infect the participants. You can say like a drop of poison in a glass of milk. Snake's poison. It looks like milk, it feels like milk, it tastes like milk. Even when you swallow it, it has that same effect, meaning the feeling, but that one drop of poison can gradually ruin everything. So it is also essential who we hear from, where we hear from, how we hear. And as I'm speaking, I'm thinking, well, no one should be listening to me because of my own internal reflections. And yet Gurudev has ordered me to do this seva. And so there's so many different considerations and reconciliations. Sometimes it's considered very fine, and sometimes it's quite obvious. When it's really obvious and in front of your face, and you can recognize and see, yes, this is unfavorable. This is unfavorable, especially if the teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga are being misrepresented, twisted, changed, and then something is being spoken in the name of our Gurudev or Guru Varga, which is not their moods or conceptions. This creates complete chaos within the lives of the disciples. I remember my father telling me a few times back in the day, he was telling me that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that we should be careful. There's a lot of information out there that has been produced in the name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada that is actually not really his teachings. But people were manufacturing things and presenting it in his name. Srila Prabhupada had warned and told about this. And so we also see this in the name of our Gurudev coming out in so many different groups. But those who were there with our Gurudev have seen and heard what he spoke again and again and again, emphatically leaving no room for wiggle, no wiggle room, as it is, exactly, over the years. And if someone is honest, and I'm using this very, very, very boldly, if someone is honest and sincere, they cannot miss it. Only those who are associating with those who are duplicitous will miss it, because they will take it as, oh, well, when Gurudev said that, he actually meant this, but not accepting the instructions as it is. So there are many different considerations and conceptions. Who to listen to, what kirtan is favorable, what kirtan is not favorable, which one is increasing my, at this stage, what is increasing my connection to my Gurudev? What is enhancing that desire to hold on more tightly to his teachings, his instructions? What is increasing my nishta in my Gurudev? What katha, what kirtan? And when we listen, we should listen for our Guru everywhere. Our Srila Prabhupada says. He told one devotee, he said, because the devotee actually asked him the question, after you leave, what should we do? And Prabhupada instructed that you should continue to receive instruction. He said, how? He said you should listen for your Gurudev everywhere. He said, this devotee said, even in the bark of a dog? And he said, yes. So this is the idea of samasti guru. And this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, I believe, in the section about the 24 gurus. I remember Srila Gurudev giving classes of this in New Vraj. 24 gurus. And this is just a snippet, an example of different gurus and different lessons or teachings in everything that is manifest within nature. But when we hear Harikatha, we should listen. Is this in line with the teachings of my Gurudev? Is this going to inspire my Guru Nishtha? Or is it going to weaken it? Is it going to create doubt? Or am I going to have to choose one over the other? So many times these things come up, and it must be that reconciliation must be there, but the reconciliation must always be in favor of our Guru Nishtha, holding on tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev. Question, what is, the reason I mentioned that if someone is acting on it, if someone is acting on their material desires and displaying it publicly, especially displaying it publicly, and then claiming to represent, this creates, as Sriman Narayan himself told the four Kumaras. And that's appropriate because we've been speaking about Ram-katha. And of course we know that Ravana and Kumbhakarna are the manifestations of Jaya and Vijay. The second manifestation, the first was Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So at this time, Sriman Narayan told the four Kumaras that whatever the servant does is the responsibility of the master. It reflects directly on the master. So I'm responsible for what they have done. So sometimes people think, whatever I do, it does not reflect on my Gurudev, it doesn't reflect on Krishna, it doesn't reflect on the process of bhakti or anything. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj begs to differ. He said the disciple should think that I am representing this Guru. Guru is our father. Gayatri is our mother. I am representing them. What I do will reflect upon them. People will judge them because of me. People will judge my Guru Varga based on my activities. People will judge not only them, they will also judge the process of bhakti. They will judge Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Krishna himself and Srimati Radhika. Not only that, but they will also judge my family, my material family, not just my spiritual, but my material family. When I read it, I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of weight, a big burden to always be aware what I do should reflect on my Gurudev. I read it from Srila Prabhupada. He said the disciple should always act in such a way. And I'm paraphrasing the quote because I haven't been able to find the exact quote again. But he said the disciple should always act in such a way that no criticism or anything comes to their guru. And this should be the mood of the disciple. So there is reflection, there is something. Sri Gurudev understands that our hearts have so many anarthas inside. Otherwise, he wouldn't be needing to help us. He recognizes, oh my God, you need help. You have so many anarthas inside. And still he engages us in Hari Kirtan, in sharing his message, in seva and so many other things, despite our disqualifications. But if we're exercising our internal anarthas externally, and then at the same time claiming to represent, then this can create a clash. And it can easily bring so much criticism to our Gurudev and Guru Varga. But this is something to consider. For us, tomorrow is Balaram Rasayatra. Also tomorrow is Sri Krishna Vasanti Rasa, springtime Vasanti Rasa, and the appearance of Sri Shyamananda Prabhu, and I can't remember one more. So, okay. Yes, as Sudevi said the other day, always act as the Sri Gurudev is standing next to you. And it's quite an interesting concept, because sometimes, as you could say, slowly maturing devotees, we will have 50% of the time that mood, and then the other 50% of the time it won't be there present within us. But we should try to endeavor to increase that more and more and more. Always try to be aware and gradually come to that point. And why am I saying gradually? Because it might not be possible to do it, boom, exclusively like that due to our lack of sukriti. But gradually try to increase more and more this consciousness that my Gurudev is right here. Now what will I say? How will I represent? What will I do? My Gurudev is next to me. And with that in mind, then act. And if we know that this will not be pleasing to my Gurudev and we act anyway, then we can expect the negative consequence. And if we feel in our heart, this will be pleasing to my Gurudev, so I will go ahead and do it. It might be that we make a mistake. But if our intention is to serve and please Gurudev, and it is honest and sincere, then very quickly he will make the adjustment, if any adjustment is necessary, and continue pushing us forward on that path. So now, I hope I was able to answer that okay. Because of that question which was asked, it was about being in kirtan. So if someone is leading kirtan and their only mood is Nitai, Gaur, look at me. This was a joke that devotees made years ago. They'd be in the temple playing mridanga and kind of dancing a little bit lewd and timing when their shirt, they had those tie ones on the side, when that would open and their muscles would show. And they would be kind of showing off like that. Is this really kirtan, or is it trying to get the attention of the ladies in the back of the temple room? At that time, the ladies were in the back. And so then you can ask, is this favorable to be part of this? Or those kirtans where you first soup up on drugs, so you're in a state of euphoria, and then you go and do the kirtan and weep and everyone joins you. Or maybe you're very famous and you sing nice kirtan and thousands and maybe millions really appreciate it, but your underlying conception is the form of Krishna is just a product of Maya or Mayavad. And you're leading Hare Krishna and everyone's appreciating it. It will not be helpful. It can actually be detrimental. So just because thousands or millions like it or follow it or appreciate it, this is not our standard. Our standard is quite strict. What is the standard? It is the standard of Guru Sadhu Shastra. It's not about popular vote. Not at all. Most of the world would think, well, you guys are vegetarian. Why? If we bend to their idea because we're the odd ones, because we're not killing animals, well, that we would think, why should we do that? We have some feeling of compassion. We don't want to kill animals and eat them. But so many would look at us like, what? You've never been to McDonald's? What's your problem? I've heard it hundreds of times because, well, I was born in a family of devotees. So people would be like, you don't eat meat? I'm like, no. You never been to McDonald's? No. What? You never went to McDonald's? No. I've never had meat. I've never had any of these things. And people really in school, they were shocked. And they were like, oh, poor you. You've missed out. Should I bend to their ideal because I'm the odd one out? No. Oh, you believe in Krishna? Yes. Isn't that just a myth, they would say? Why are you wearing those neck beads? Why do you have that ponytail? Why do you have that stuff on your head? Our goal is not to please the senses, the minds of everyone in this world. That is not our purpose. We should really make the endeavor to try to please our Gurudev, our Guru Varga, Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna, in the face of all of it. And we've heard this from our Gurudev and also from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. I heard Gurudev say it many times. Even if the whole world is against me, no harm, as long as I have the lotus feet of my Gurudev. No harm. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, of course, takes it up a notch, if you would call it that. Even if all of the godless Buddha jivas, means conditioned souls, in all of the unlimited universes, in one voice, shouts at me the untruth, I alone would stand in the face of all of them and loudly proclaim the truth. Alone, in the face of all billions and trillions and unlimited conditioned souls, all shouting the untruth in one voice. When I read that quote, the picture I saw of him was the one with that danda. There, just standing there. How powerful is that? We don't have that strength. Oh, by the way, confirmed. How powerful is that? So we might not have that kind of strength, but if we hold on tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev, he has that strength. And if we see that we're with him, then we can also have that kind of conviction. As Gurudev said, a little dog on his own, maybe he'll be afraid of big dogs. But if he's with his master, he knows, my master is very powerful. My master has many big guns. So even if any big dog is barking, this little dog means us, little dogs, we will bark very loudly back because my Gurudev is so powerful. What will we bark? We will bark the teachings, the message of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga as it is, in a way that will be pleasing to them. So, okay. Wow. Okay. So now, spoke for a little while. We will call out to Radha and Krishna together in the form of beautiful bhajan of our Srila Gurudev, Braja Janamana Sukhari, page 366. Shri Radhe Brajajana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Brajajana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe 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 Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Mora Mukuta Makara Krita Kundana Gale Vaijanti Mora Mukuta Makara Krita Kundana Gala Vaijanti Mala Charana Nanupura Rasal Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Charana Nanupura Rasal Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe 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 Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Sundara Vadana Kamala Dallalochana Banki Chitta Balhari Sundara Vadana Kamala Dallalochana Banki Chitta Balhari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Mohan Vangshi Bihari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe 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 Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Radhe Braja Jana Manasukakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam Vrindavano mein dhelu charabe गोपी जनो मनोहारी वृंदावनों में धेनु चरावे गोपी जनो मनोहारी श्री गोवर धनधारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे श्री गोवर धनधारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे 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 व्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे व्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधा कृष्ण मिली अवदो गौर रूपय अवतारी राधा कृष्ण मिली अवदो गौर रूपय अवतारी कीर्तन धर्म प्रचारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे कीर्तन धर्म प्रचारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे 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 ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूपय अवतारी तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूपय अवतारी चरणन में बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे चरणन में बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे 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 ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम 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 Radhe Shyam, 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 Shyam Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Radhe Shyam, 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 Radhe Vraj Jana Mana Sukhari, Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam, Radhe Vraj Jana Mana Sukhari, Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam, oh Radhe Shyam, 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 oh Jaya Gurudeva, Jai 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 Gurudeva. Shri Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Gurudeva ki Jai. Now we have come to that point, that very special point in our progression, the kram, the sequence, where we have called out to our Gurudev, all Vaishnavas, Rupa Goswami, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sachinandan Gaurahari, Radha and Krishna. And now we're coming to the mantra of all mantras, the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which can grant prem to the Atma when one is chanting this Mahamantra. Actually, it is non-different from Radha and Krishna. So we should be praying to Mahamantra, Shri Harinam Prabhu. O Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. And of course, that service is loving. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Jai Jai Lakshman, Jai Hanuman, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Jai Lakshman, Jai Hanuman, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Nama Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayanitti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitti Namine Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitarang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate giring yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurung Dinatarinam. First of all, we offer our Dandavat pranams thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj. In the same thousands of Dandavat pranam, in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, we offer our Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe, 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 Shyam.
Radhe Shyam. So today we are continuing with Sri Ram-katha. Once again, Srila Gurudev, he was very fond of Sri Ramayana and also Sri Ramcharitamanas. And Srila Gurudev would experience so much transcendental ecstasy remembering the pastimes of Sri Ram. There's so much deep moods of separation and also so many valuable lessons. The more that I'm hearing and the more that Sudevi has been discussing with me over the last few weeks, while she's been reading and studying Sri Ramayana and Ramcharitamanas, the more we have realized how much of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, how much of the teachings that we have received have come from Ramayana and also Ramcharitamanas, which is just the continuation of Ramayana. So, for us who are endeavoring to be exclusive, one-pointed, Radha Krishna Bhaktas, how do we understand or comprehend or reconcile the speaking about the pastimes of Sri Ram and Sita and Lakshman and Hanuman and even Ravan? How do we reconcile that? Our Srila Gurudev has spoken. Oh, today is not day 6, is it? Is it day 5? Oh, today is part 6, Sudevi.
Oh.
Wow.
I thought it was 4.
She thought it was 4. She's ready for more. She's like, oh, we should just keep telling her it's 4. She'll be like, oh, that wasn't, yeah, okay, we'll go to 10.
No.
Okay, so, Ram Adi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. These are all pastimes of Krishna. Those who are devotees of Krishna will see the pastimes of Sri Ram as Krishna's manifestation. When Krishna desires to enact, to show the pastimes of Maryada, he manifests as Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramachandra along with his eternal consort Sri Sita Thakurani, who is a manifestation of Srimati Radhika. So from that perspective we can understand the original is Krishna, who is manifesting in all of these unlimited avatars, all of these unlimited forms, and performing so many beautiful and sweet pastimes. Therefore Jayadev Goswami has said, Keshava Dhritta Rama Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. O Keshava, O Krishna, you have appeared in such a beautiful form as Ram. Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna. That is directly the quote from the mouth of our Srila Gurudev, and I have just now for the first time actually seen that directly in the translation of Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda, that part right there where he's saying Keshava Drita, O Keshav, meaning Krishna, you have manifested in the form of Ram, Rama Sharira. Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Krishna. Jagadish means Lord of the universe, but also this is referring to the original, who is Krishna. So without further ado, oh, Anjali's saying it's part 4 and ready for more. We will call Sudevi to come forward and continue sharing the beautiful katha of Sri Rama. What is it?
Thank you. Okay. Oh,
You want to put it on you, or
I think I've got this.
Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Dandavat pranam dear Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe. Radhe Sham. So, before we begin tonight, we will do a little bit of a recap what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we heard that Vibhishan left Ravan after being kicked by Ravan because he was giving him good counsel. Actually, that in itself is a lesson, isn't it? When we are doing something wrong, when we are doing something against Dharma or against our vows to Guru and Vaishnavas, when we have a good friend, they'll help to remind us, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is completely against Vaishnava etiquette. This is against service to Gurudev. And generally, if we are completely covered, we will find that we might kick those people out of our lives. Hey, you're stopping me from doing my thing that makes me happy? Never mind. Get out of my life. So Ravan was like this. Vibhishan was telling him, return Sita. Don't be foolish. He said, get out. So very happily, finally, Vibhishan got the chance to be rid of that demoniac family and environment that he had been born into. And now he entered into the shelter of Sri Ram and all of Ram's devotees.
In that verse, Gurur Nasasyat, the next one, Svajano Nasasyat, the example they use is Vibhishan, that he gave up his family, his whole family, for the service of Ram. So Svajano Nasasyat, he rejected them, and this is why he is glorified everywhere.
Yes, this is the hardest thing, those persons who we hold very near and dear, but if they're against Hari Guru and Vaishnava, our Gurudev would always say, we can have some relationship with them. We can be kind to them. We can try somehow or other, give them prasadam, do something, but no attachment is there. Why? Because they are against Guru and Krishna. So, Vibhishan, he left that place and attained the shelter of Sri Ram. Thereafter, we know that Ram went to build a bridge. He installed Rameshwar. And we heard about who is Rameshwar.
I'm just remembering when you said Vibhishan left his brother because his brother was against Ram. He left him, and immediately because of that, he attained the direct association and darshan of Ram. And this reminds me of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, whose brother
Prabhu
was implicated in an aparad against Nityananda Prabhu.
Miniketan Ramdas.
Yes. So he rejected that brother.
Not that Miniketan Das is his
Krishnadas
brother,
Kaviraj
yes.
Goswami rejected his brother, and that night he left. And because of that, Nityananda Prabhu gave him direct darshan and then gave him instruction to go to Vrindavan and associate with the Goswamis there.
So, now we know that they crossed the bridge, and even all of the sea creatures were coming to have darshan. Then they arrive in Lanka. There, Sri Ram tells Sugriva to tell his warriors to go and to refresh themselves, to find some fruits. And it is said that fruits and flowers in and out of season, the moment Ram arrived there, started to bloom and gave their best fruits to Ram's sevaks, because they are Nitya Ram or Krishna Das. They are eternally servants of the Lord, no matter what body they're in. Even all of those creatures that were coming to have darshan, they couldn't move away. They were still just staring at the beautiful form of the Lord and his devotees.
We've witnessed a semblance of this when our Gurudev would arrive in New Vraj. The flowers would not bloom until 2 days before he arrived. Even if he would arrive at different times, varied by 1 month. Normally flowers bloom at the same time every year, but they would wait. All the jasmines would wait until 2 days before he arrived. And when he arrived, it was all fragrant and full of jasmines. We witnessed this in the life of our Gurudev, and we've also heard about this with Krishna and also Rupa Goswami, when he would tell in Terkadamba, the meeting pastimes of Radha and Krishna, all the trees would spontaneously bloom and blossom. And then when he would tell separation pastimes, they would all dry up. So I just wanted to share that.
So going there, Sri Ram, he went on this very beautiful hill. And he was there, and Lakshman made a place for him to lie down. Sugriva sat down, and Sri Ram rested his head on Sugriva's lap. On one side of him was his bow, and the other side was his quiver with arrows. He was holding on to one of the arrows and looking at it and twisting it in his hands. And Bibhishan was whispering all kinds of state secrets from Lanka in his ear. Hanuman, and I think it was, what is the name of Angada. Hanuman and Angada were massaging his feet. Oh. And Lakshman was standing behind in a warrior pose with a bow at the ready to fight. So this scene was going on, and Ram was just looking out. And he saw all of Lanka. He sat up and he began to look, and he said, "What is that sound I hear? What is that lightning flashing over there? What is it? It sounds like thunder and it looks like lightning." Vibhishan said, "Oh, this is the beautiful, like pavilion terrace where Ravan goes, and he sees the beautiful dancing of the Apsaras and the singing of the Gandharvas. They have dance competitions there, and all of Ravan's ladies are always there to give him pleasure." Ramcharitamanas says that within Ravan's palace, it would take hundreds of Indras to enjoy what he daily enjoyed. Wow. This was his great capacity for material enjoyment. Ram was sitting up and he smiled at the arrogance of Ravan. At Ravan, he was thinking, this whole army of millions of monkeys and bears are here. I am here. And all of these powerful warriors are here for his death. And yet he's sitting on a throne watching dancing competitions of ladies in his pavilion. Sri Ram smiled at that, and he took his bow, and the arrow he had in his hand, he shot it toward Lanka. And it was with like an astra, so it was invisible. And it went straight to Ravan's crown, and it knocked it off. And both of Mandodari's earrings fell off. And then the arrow came back to Ram.
Is there too much wind?
Yeah. The arrow came back to Ram. I was thinking about that and just contemplating how when we become full of pride and arrogance, whether it's in our position of being able to sing or being able to serve in a particular way or cook in a particular way, whatever it might be, how we get cut down from that. We learn lessons from that. And it is the grace of Guru and Krishna. They never want their subjects to become overwhelmed in this kind of pride and arrogance that we actually again and again continuously forget Krishna. So Ram reminded him, I'm here. I have come for you. But Ravan didn't even look at it. Like, he was shocked at first, and everyone thought, was there an earthquake? I didn't feel anything. But Mandodari, his best and favorite queen, she knew it was a bad omen. And
her earrings dropped.
And his crown just fell off for no reason. Wow. How could Ravan's crown fall off for no reason?
Vishnupriya knew it was a bad omen.
Yes.
What she
stubbed her toe and lost her nose ring that she received
at the
marriage.
at the wedding, so she knew this is a bad sign.
Yes.
And then Mahaprabhu took sannyas
that night. Yes.
Right.
So she knew, and she approached her husband and began to plead with him, please don't go to war with him. He is the Supreme Lord. And she was begging him, and he was laughing it off. So the next morning, actually, I'm not sure if it was the next morning, because Tulsidas's Ramayana and also Tulsidas's Ramcharitamanas and the Ramayana are a little bit different in the beginning. So
remember the Kalpa Bhed?
Yes, there is a Kalpa Bhed, or they happened the same day at different times. But when Ravan saw this huge army, he became a little bit shaken. He saw everything. After the crown, everything fell off. He was looking and seeing what's going on here. So he made a plan. He called one of his ministers that was very good at Maya tactics. And he said, I want you to come to me to the Ashokvan. And when I call for you, I want you to bring like a manifestation of Ram's head and his bow. So Ravan went to the Ashokvan, and Sita was sitting there feeling very, very afraid and nervous, and she had never been accosted before. And here's this powerful demon trying to get her to bend to his will. So he went to her and he said, oh, I have the best news. Ram arrived here in Lanka. Somehow he crossed the bridge. He said, but he was very tired from the long journey over the ocean. And this evening he fell asleep with all of his army. One of my best chiefs, one of my best fighters, he went into the army when everyone was sleeping, and he took his sword and he cut off Ram's head. And she at first didn't believe him, and he said, oh, I know that you don't believe me, so I have brought you proof. So then he called for his Mayak minister, and he came in with Ram's bow, what looked like Ram's bow, and his head with blood all over it. And he threw it down in front of her and the bow. And then he said, forget him, he's gone. Now you should come to me. Now is the time when you can live happily. Why don't you live in a palace? You don't need to live like this anymore. Ram is no more. I am your Lord, I am your master. Sita immediately began to cry, and she began to lament. What was the use of austerity? What was the use of all of the blessings of all of the sages and rishis? They would always tell Ram, may you have a long life. How can it be proved to be untrue? How can these great sages, these mystics, these Brahmins, how can all of their blessings be false? And she was weeping and crying, and she was going to hold the head of Ram and weep. And at that time, some minister came to tell Ravan something important had gone on, but he was looking with glee at her suffering because he thought, now she will be mine. So immediately Ravan turned and left, and when he left, the head disappeared and so did the bow. And Sita was shocked and she didn't understand. And one of the Rakshashis, she came to Sita and she said, don't be like an ordinary woman and overcome with this kind of sorrow. You know, even more than I do, what to speak of just an ordinary general. Even Ravan will not be able to kill Ram. Never and never. Compose yourself. Ram is okay. They are all here and they are ready to free you from the grasp of Ravan. So Sita was pacified. I wrote some notes down because as we get into the war, it becomes very chaotic. And as I was reading both Ramcharitamanas and Ramayana, there were different things that would stand out. And so I've made a list of, let's call them highlights. I know every bit of the Ramayana is a highlight, and every monkey warrior and bear, and anyone serving Ram is worthy of speaking of, but I don't have a capacity to remember such things. So I tried to write some of the main points down. So if I make any mistake or it seems I omitted many things, please forgive me. You're welcome to correct me or to write things down that I have missed or omitted. But I'm trying to do my best. I'm not really a war kind of person. So it's been very hard for me to really...
She is a war kind of person. She just doesn't need to fight with weapons. She can fight with...
emojis.
No, just the movement of her eyebrows.
So the next morning, Ram wanted to kind of survey all of Lanka. He got up and he walked on the mountain, he walked toward Lanka a little bit and he was looking over. And all of a sudden he saw something. He saw a very powerful looking personality with a white umbrella being held over his head. Immediately he recognized, that is Ravan, and he is surveying my army. And he went and he wanted to say something to Sugriva about Ravan. So he turned to say something and he saw all of a sudden Sugriva had disappeared. And he began to look around and he heard a really loud screech of a monkey warrior. And he looked up and he saw that Sugriva, as soon as he saw Ravan, he forgot everything. He flew through the air. He was in the air screaming and Ravan was shocked. He kicked Ravan in the chest and Ravan fell back and he lost his crown. Second time. Ooh. He fell back and he was shocked. Immediately Ravan started grabbing Sugriva and they were wrestling like two wrestlers. They were both quite equal at that point. And as they were fighting, all of a sudden Ravan thought, I can't defeat him at this moment. He got the upper hand. I was shocked. I wasn't prepared. So he thought, I will use my Mayic mat-like tantra on him. So he immediately, as soon as he thought this, Sugriva understood what he was doing because he was pulling back and he knew Ravan wouldn't give up like this. So as soon as that happened, he went straight into the sky and went right back to Ram. At that time, Ram admonished him. He said, Sugriva, why have you been so impulsive? Why have you done that? You know that he is so powerful. You yourself went into that line of fire. You are the leader of all of the monkeys and bears. What to speak of that? You are dearer to me than my own brother Lakshman. If something would have happened to you, then I wouldn't have been able to fight. You would have broken my very heart. So he admonished him, don't be so impulsive.
Don't act independently.
Don't be independent. Even if we see that there is some kind of thing like that we see our Gurudev is fighting some kind of battle, we should always be under guidance.
Nice.
Even Sri Lakshman, whenever he would go to fight, he would always take permission of Lord Ram. He would wait till Ram would look at him, or he would go in front of him and beg, can I fight now? He always took permission, and this is a great lesson. Yes, we should serve and do what Gurudev has told us. We hear how Hanumanji was sent, and Ram said, what is a high-class kind of servant? So you go above and beyond, but don't go independently to do something. So this is one of the lessons that Ram gave to Sugriva before the war. So Ram called many around him, and he asked, what should we do? What should be our game plan? At the same time, Ravan was asking the same thing to all of his ministers. They were all giving him so much of an ego massage. Oh, you don't need to have a kind of council with us. We know you fought the demigods, you've done this, 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 and this. But one of his ministers was his maternal grandfather, who was internally like a bhakta. And he admonished him, you are going against the Lord, you're going against Vishnu. Are you mad? You're going to be the destroyer of your dynasty. And he said, you foolish old man, if you weren't so old and senile with dementia, I would kill you. And he sent him out, and this is his grandfather. At that time, one of the ministers said, my lord, this whole thing is over Sita, and I have a question for you. Why don't you just take her make her yours, rape her, take her. And at that time, Ravan became somewhat embarrassed. And then he revealed, actually, I have been cursed. I can't just go and take any woman and molest them and make them mine. I cannot do it.
Otherwise he would have.
Yes. So then he gave one example, but I'm going to tell quickly 3 examples as to why Ravan was cursed. So one, as we know, was Vedavati. She was a beautiful, very beautiful, like Brahmini girl. And she went and she was doing austerities because she only wanted Vishnu as her husband. As Ravan was flying in his Pushpaka chair, actually Kuvera's Pushpaka chariot that he stole, whoa, who is this? This beautiful woman. And he immediately sent his chariot down and he came out and he wanted her. And he asked her, who are you? And she told him, I am the daughter of so-and-so. This is my mood and this is my vrat. I want only Vishnu. And he touched her hair and he was trying to get her to come with him. At that moment, she had the power to cut her hair off just with moving her hand past it. And she called him a fool. She said, because you have touched this body that was actually so completely pure, now it has become impure. You touched my hair, it is no longer able to be used in the service of the Lord, so I will give it up. But she cursed him that I will be born to destroy your dynasty. Some say she would be born in Lanka, and some say she would be the end of his dynasty. I read in one place, but it wasn't either of these 2 books, but they were saying that she was like Chaya Sita. I don't know if this is true or not, but Sita Devi, yes, Sita Devi doesn't have to do austerity. So this was one curse, that he would be brought down in his whole dynasty because of a lady, a woman. Another curse was that one day he was going through the sky after he was actually with his warriors trying to conquer the heavens, conquer everywhere, all of the worlds, the universe. And as he was going, he saw a beautiful, like, demigoddess.
Devi Dasi Ramya, it was Vedavati, not Sita, who cursed Ravan. But if she said, I will be born and
yes,
be good,
like I said, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't heard it from my Gurudev, and I didn't read it from Ramcharitamanas or Ramayan. But it does make sense that it would be a Chaya Sita, because Sita is his eternal consort. She doesn't need to do any austerity apart from him to be his wife. But anyhow, it's a technicality. But she gave this curse. Then the other curse was when he was flying throughout the planetary systems. He saw a beautiful demigoddess. I think her name was Ramba. Ramba?
Yeah.
She was either to be the wife of or the wife of Nalakuver. Nalakuver.
That Nalakuver, one of the sons of the god of wealth, Kuvera, who became one of the trees that Krishna liberated in the Damodar Lila.
And it is something to understand that Kuvera is also Ravan's half-brother. So when he saw her, he immediately became full of lust and wanted to enjoy her. And she was trying to stop him, and she was saying, I'm like your daughter, I'm your sister-in-law, we have a relationship together, please don't do this, this is a dharmic, and this is against my will. And he was saying, you're a demigoddess, you can be with multiple people, you don't have to worry about this. And she was telling him, I don't want you to touch me. And forcefully, he took her and molested her. So at that time, she ran to Nalakuver, and she was crying, and she told him what happened. And at that time, he became so angry that he cursed Ravan, that if he ever took and molested a woman by force, I don't know if there are children watching, so I don't want to get too, but if you ever do something like that against a woman's will, your head will shatter and you will die. So Ravan took this seriously. He knew that curses were real. So then there was one more that I wanted to tell, and that is that as he was flying, he came near Mount Kailash, where Lord Shiva and Parvati are. At that time, he couldn't get past it on his chariot. He couldn't get past it, and he was really upset, like, why can't I get past this mountain? And at that time, Nandi, who is Shiva's bull, but also their guard, he came in front of Ravan, and he said, what's going on? I want to get past. Why can't I go over the mountain? And he said, because my Lord Shiva and his consort are together now, and no one is allowed to come past here. And at that time, Ravan began to abuse him with words, and he started laughing at the way he looked.
How did he look?
I don't know. I don't remember where I read it, that he had somewhat of a monkey face. Was it Ramcharitamanas? That he had a monkey face at that time. I guess he can change faces. So Ravan started making fun of him. And at that time, this is off so I can't see. And at that time, Nandi cursed him. He cursed him that because you were laughing at me and making fun of me like this, I curse you that at some point, what was the curse? That you will be destroyed. Your whole dynasty will be destroyed by monkeys because you behaved also like a monkey. So at that time, Ravan, with his 20 arms, went and decided to move Mount Kailash. He was so arrogant. At that time, Parvati was on Lord Shiva's lap, and she almost fell off. And she became frightened, and he said, don't worry, Devi.
Who said? Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva said, don't worry, Devi, I know who it is. It's Ravan. And so he pushed his foot into the ground to keep Mount Kailash very, very heavy. And Ravan became trapped underneath it. But
his arms?
Yes, his arms were trapped. But Parvati, at that time, was so angry. She said, because he frightened a woman, because he gave me this kind of fear, knowing that I was here, because of he did this, he brought fear to a woman, he will be destroyed by a woman. So some of these are the curses. And then with his arms stuck there, I don't remember how long, maybe the Gupta will know, but he was stuck there for a very long time. And at that time, he didn't know what to do. And they told him that he should sing the Somaveda.
You told me before that his arms were being crushed and he was in a
lot of pain. He was stuck there.
So he was trapped and crushed.
Yes. And so at that time, he was really trying to please Lord Shiva, and it took quite a long time. And then in some places it is said that he, actually Ravan said, and I don't...
Someone said 100 years.
100 years, and these would be celestial years.
Jeez.
So it's a very long time. Thank you, Sonamji. So during this time, I don't know if it is exactly at this time or when it happened, but Ravan began to cut some of his 10 heads off and offer them like in the fire to please Lord Shiva. And he began to sing and try to please him. So after so long, he was able to please Lord Shiva, and he got out of that very great entanglement of making aparad to Lord Shiva. So lesson there, be very, very careful. Do not make any offense to the Lord and his devotees. So Ravan told that he was cursed, so his head would be like shattered into 1,000 pieces if he molested a woman by force. So then they understood, oh, then this won't work.
You said he had thousands of the most beautiful, gorgeous women in his harem, in his harem.
Yes.
So how is that possible?
They ended up giving themselves to him. He was so beautiful. If you ever get a chance to read in Ramcharitamanas, or maybe it was even the Ramayana, how beautiful Ravan was, that even Hanumanji was completely astonished and attracted by his beauty. Actually, on the battlefield, even Ram, he's glorifying his prowess and his handsome face and how beautiful he is. He was the opponent of the Lord. He wasn't just some regular warrior Rakshasa. He was the Rakshasa. And so these women willingly gave themselves to him, whether it was for bending to his will by being frightened, or whatever it might have been, all of these women had ended up surrendering to
They were
Ravan.
like wives of rishis, wives of
Demigods, yes.
and like this,
Yes.
princesses and everything, and they actually voluntarily accepted him.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, Ravan. Anyway, I was going to tell. So, Ram on his side was having a council with all of the big warriors, like Hanumanji was there, Vivida, Jambavan, all were there. And he looked toward Jambavan and he asked him, what should I do? He was the most senior and he was ancient. And he had fought in so many wars and battles. So Ram looked to him. This is another lesson, that we should always look toward the senior Vaishnavas when we have questions, when we want to hear about how to serve our Gurudev and our Guru Varg, when we have understood that personality to have served their Gurudev, like so many of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. If we want to have nishta, firm faith in the lotus feet of our Gurudev, we can go to those disciples of Srila Prabhupada who we have seen throughout so many years have such firm nishta in their Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. They were willing to do anything for him. They gave up everything. They gave up their inheritances. They gave up their families. They gave their children. They gave everything, their youth, their strength, their vitality. They gave everything in the service of the feet of their Gurudev. So when we want to approach that realm of beautiful seva to our Gurudev and of nishta, if we can have association of those types of devotees, then we will actually be getting blessings. They will tell us how to serve, how they serve, and we will have an idea and an inspiration how to serve our Guru Varg. This is the teaching of our acharyas, and this is also shown by Sri Ram. Ram knows everything, and Jambavan is even saying that. You know everything. You are the knower of all, and yet you are asking me this question. So then he began. In my opinion, what I think would be the best thing to do is to send the son of Vali to go and to have some communication. You should send a message to Angada. I should say that. In the, not Ramayan, they say the son of Vali. They say that a lot when they speak, when Tulsidas is speaking of Hanumanji. They call him the son of the wind god. So you know automatically it's Hanumanji.
Yes.
So that they should send Angada.
In Vedic culture, it's considered more sweet to not refer to them directly, but
yes,
like that.
Even our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, would always say, when one says something like, I love you, he said, all the sweetness is gone. It's gone. He said, like the gopis, they will never tell that to Krishna. He will never hear that. He might hear it through some roundabout way, but Srimati Radhika, the gopis, they will never tell that kind of thing to Krishna. He said their hearts are so crooked, and it keeps Krishna completely spellbound. But when you say those words, it somehow loses its potency, like camphor being exposed to the atmosphere. When it's enclosed, it's so strong and fragrant. But if you let it out, then that fragrance is gone. So Gurudev would give those examples about love and saying such a thing. So Ram called Angada, and Angada came and bowed at his feet. And Ram told him, I want you to go and carry not necessarily a message. He said, I want you to speak with him. I want you to make some kind of arrangement for me, but also see if you can do something that is on his behalf as well. Basically, he should give me Sita. And he said, if not, you know what to do. So Angada, quickly, he ran toward Lanka. As he was going there, he was so happy. Within his heart, he kept thinking, he entrusted this beautiful seva to me. He's sending me to go. So he was so happy. So when he went into the city of Lanka, as he was flying over, because he was jumping, so as he was in the air, one of Ravan's younger sons looked up and saw him, and he tried to kick Angada. Angada started fighting with him, and they were like equals. They were both in the prime of youth, and they were fighting very valiantly. So many other Rakshasas heard the commotion and came out. And when he saw so many Rakshasas coming, and this boy was stopping him from going forward, he went up in the air, and he took Ravan's son by the foot and smashed him to the ground, and he died. All of the Rakshasas became shocked, and they started running from the place. So many were screaming, "That monkey is back! That monkey is back!" They mistook him for Hanumanji. They're like, "Another one is here. What do we do?" So everyone was leaving. At that time, he realized that everyone was still afraid of Hanuman. So he started walking toward Ravan's palace. And it is said that no one would look at him, although all were guiding him. And if he would glance upon anyone, they would become so fearful and look away. But they were all showing him, Ravan's place is there. Just go that way.
When Hanuman had set fire to Lanka, it was so hot and so big, it melted the gold. The gold, the whole city was made of gold, and it was melting. All of those buildings and houses and everything were melting, and the gold was pouring through the streets. Thousands and thousands of the citizens were also killed in those fires. So everyone was really afraid of Hanuman.
Yes.
Because he just destroyed the whole place. And they thought, "Oh my God, he's back." And so no one wanted to get on his bad side. So when they saw Angad, they were just like, the palace is that way.
So Angada goes inside the palace, and he sends someone to tell Ravan he's there. Immediately, Ravan is like, "Call in the little monkey." So Angada goes in, and they give him a seat, and he sits down, and he's looking at Ravan.
He's fearless.
They're all fearless. He's looking at Ravan, and Ravan goes, "So, what are you here for? What do you want from me? What is your message?" And he started kind of berating Ram. Why is he sending a monkey? He can't come and see me himself? And Angada looked at him, and he said, "I am here as a messenger of Lord Ram. I am the son of one of your very dear friends. Do you remember Vali? Do you remember him?" And immediately Ravan became a little bit embarrassed, because Vali had actually, once when Vali was doing a huge yajna, Ravan came there and he was going to try and take him and kidnap him or do something with him. And Vali knew that Ravan was behind him, and he grabbed him by the neck and had him under his armpit. And he was continuing doing his yajna, and he was stuck there for something like 6 months. And he had to be released by Brahma or something. Somebody had to petition, and Vali let him go. So when Angada came in there, he was kind of looking at him going, "Oh, I'm the son of one of your old friends," letting him know, "I know all about you."
Speaking of time, you said Ravan was like under his arm in a headlock for 6 months.
Yeah.
So Sonam and Rupa just told that when Ravan was trapped underneath the Mount Kailash, when Lord Shiva put his weight down, that he was there for 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
But anyway, 6 months in a headlock underneath Vali's arm. So Angad was like, "That's my dad."
Yet, ooh, did I do that?
No. It's okay, we can see Thakurji, but can you speak?
Yes. So
Wow.
Angada had, so he told Ravan who he was. And then Ravan became a little bit sheepish, but he was asking, "Oh, so how is your father? How is he now?" And immediately Angada laughed, and he said, "Oh, about from 10 days from now, you'll be sent there by Ram, who also sent him where he is now, and you can embrace him and ask him yourself." So he was letting him know that Ram had killed Vali, and that Ram was going to kill him. So immediately they started, I'm not going to talk too long about the banter, because they were going back and forth, and Ravan was trying to show his strength. He's like, have you no shame? Look at me. Look at how powerful I am. Look at all of my 20 arms. And he was showing how shocking he was. And he kept talking about Mount Kailash and how he lifted it. And then he started talking about offering his heads to Shiva. So Angada started laughing at him, and he goes, yeah, everyone has heard about what you have done at Mount Kailash. You've said it only about 20 times already. And then he said, and who has ever been glorified for cutting their own heads off? No one has been called a hero for such a thing. And then he started saying, why don't you just cut your neck and die? What you have done is so lowly. You have done the lowest thing. You have taken the wife of Ram. She's the mother of the universe. You have taken her, and you have taken her from the Lord himself. How dare you? And so they were going back and forth. And then Angada said, he said, what is the glory? He said, Ram will kill you. But what is the glory in killing you? Is a lion ever glorified if he kills a frog? So he was saying these kinds of things, and Ravan was becoming angry. So then Ravan, for the first time, started saying things that were offensive about Ram. He has no good character. He's absolutely nothing. Even his own father sent him away because he was worthless. So when he started saying these things, Angada could not take it. And Tulsidas explains, because he was making aparad to the Lord. Before, they were just throwing back this kind of prideful arrogance toward each other. But now he made aparad. So Angada became so angry. When he said this about Ram, he smashed his fists into the ground. He screamed, ah, and smashed his fists into the ground. And at that time, all of the ministers and princes that were there, they fell off of their thrones. Ravan almost fell off of his. And at this time, he was exhibiting his 10 heads and 20 arms. All of his crowns fell off, and he almost fell off his throne. He quickly picked up a couple of his crowns and put them on. But Angada, he sent 4 of them toward Lord Ram.
Threw them in that direction.
He took them and threw them toward where Ram was. And on that side, the monkeys were looking at it. They're going, is it a comet? What is it? What's coming at us? And Ram went and he looked and he smiled and he said, oh, Angada is sending us the gift of the crowns of Ravan. And he was smiling. And as soon as Hanuman heard that, he jumped in the air and he grabbed them and he put them at the feet of Ram. Angada was so angry. And so at that time, Ravan became furious and he said, kill him. Immediately, Angada, he put his foot on the ground and he said, I'll tell you what, if any of you can even move my foot, if you can move it from this spot, he said, then I will consider that I have lost everything and I will forego even Sita as like a wager. That would be it. She will remain here. So Ravan laughed and he sent everyone move his foot. So everyone was getting up. Powerful Rakshasas and warriors were trying to move his foot and they couldn't. Wow. And then Indrajit himself came and started trying and he couldn't. Everyone was shocked and they were moving back like, what is this? Ravan got up and he went down to move his foot. And at that time, Angada kicked him really hard and he said, you fool, do you think touching my feet will absolve you of your sins? Do you think I will protect you if you come and touch my feet? And then he jumped in the air and he said, you should go to the feet of Ram, beg his forgiveness, bring your wives, put a straw between your teeth and bow at the feet of Ram and return Sita. And then he went back to Ram.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a real hero.
So there was a very powerful lesson.
Yes, I wondered if you would speak a little bit about aparad. This is a lesson that we have to hear something about, is it not? Oh, thank you.
Okay. This is something which I am very familiar with. Speaking about. So, as we spoke yesterday about Krodha Begum, the urges of anger, When can they be used properly? For us, we have to be careful because we're not on the level. We're not on that level. The level of our Gurudev, the level of Hanuman or Angada or Arjuna, because their moods are exclusively for the service of the Lord. But we also have Ravan-like mentality within us. He was becoming so furious and angry because any minister, even his own family members, were giving him good advice. So he would become furious at them and kick them out, threaten to kill them. So this is the symptom of uncontrolled anger, and this is due to uncontrolled lust. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. But what happens when that lust is frustrated? Anger comes. So there's a difference between the anger of the pure devotees, because their anger is used exclusively in the service of the Lord, and anger of those who have any other motivation, any other agenda. Usually it's because you've hurt my ego. So what happens? One's eyes turn red and they just want to destroy everything. They should die. Them and their whole families. This kind of anger can come raging inside. So the difference between our anger and their anger is focused. It is directed in the service of the Lord. Ours is usually because someone has said something which has pinched my ego. So look at Angad. His mood was exclusively for the service of Ram. And because of that, his anger was rightly placed. When that aparad came against Ram, then Angad became very furious and punched the ground. He slammed his fists into the ground and silenced them. This reminds me of our Srila Gurudev. I've told this before, but many of you weren't present when we were in South Africa. There was one group that was making so many offenses to Gurudev. So many, publicly. And another group, the group of our Gurudev's disciples, many were saying we should try to just get along, so don't react to it. Don't respond. Just kind of try to keep the peace. And we were like, making so many offenses to our Gurudev, how can we just sit still? And so Sudevi told me to ask Gurudev a two-part question. Part one, what should one do if someone is telling false things, making false rumors and accusations about one's Gurudev? And Gurudev, I think, considered that maybe it was being done toward him. So he said, you should cut their tongue with shastric evidence. In other words, if you have the capacity, then you should quote Shastra and silence them by that. But if you do not have the potency, the strength, then you should run from that place, covering your ears so you don't hear any more aparad. And you should go with all of your clothes into any body of water, any lake, river, or ocean, and pray to the Lord for forgiveness.
Yes, Sonam, they were doing it purposely.
Oh yeah. From forgiveness from hearing this aparad, what is against affection. Part two. What was the second question? Gurudev, what would you do if someone were spreading false propaganda, false rumors, and telling false things, false accusations about your Gurudev? He said, my Gurudev. I said, yes, your Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj. He said, my Gurudev? I said, yes. He said, I would beat them. Just like that. So, what is the mood of any Vaishnava? If someone is attacking them personally, making any accusation to them, even if it's false, if someone is doing anything against them personally, they take it, okay, this is the mercy of Krishna. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam babakam. I must deserve this. This is the mercy of Krishna or any karma coming to repay me. With this humility, they accept it and they keep their mind, their body, their hearts, their words, everything focused on the Lord. Hridbhag bapur bhir bidadang namaste. But if anyone is offending the Vaishnavas, their Gurudev, Bhagavan, Krishna, the process of bhakti, then they will become like fire, like Hanuman, like Angad, like Arjuna, and very strongly they will establish the truth. Nowadays, we have to be careful. We don't just act independently and take the law into our own hands. But still, there should be anger when this comes, if we are qualified. Otherwise, if we're not qualified, if we're seeing in red, we may burn everything. So aparad, this kind of aparad, aparadha means against affection. Apa, radha. Radha means love and affection, and apa means against. Apa siddhanta means against siddhanta. So when there is aparadha, at that time, this means what is against affection to the Vaishnavas, what is against affection to Gurudev, what is against affection to Gauranga, the path of bhakti, to Bhagavan, to bhakti itself. Then at that time, we can exercise some strong, what is the word, Sudevi? We should manifest some strong resistance to that.
Resistance.
And as our Gurudev said, if anyone is telling anything against your Gurudev or against his conceptions, then you should strongly establish the siddhanta and defeat it. So, there's so much more to speak about aparad, but it's just a slight bit.
I want to get to some of the war because we have to finish soon. We're going to do...
We have to finish what soon? You're on day 4.
We're going to do Chaitanya Bhagavat, so... Okay. Is this okay? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's happening here? So finally, they decided it's time for war. Everyone set out, and Ram had... To war! Victory to Ram! Everyone was going out, and there were 4 different gates at Lanka that were being guarded by different very strong commanders in Ravan's army. Indrajit was at one, and so many others were there. So Ram divided the army into 4 parts, and they went and they started attacking. So now, again, I'm not going to tell, I hope, everything in too much detail. I want to give some things that were really standing out, because it's a very long war. So, Hanuman and Angada, they were at the place where Indrajit was. And they were at this huge fort, and they were fighting with Indrajit. Actually, they were almost equal to him. They would punch each other, and they would all fall down, like they were almost equals. So Hanumanji was scattering the whole army, and Angada was in another place, scattering that part of the army. Finally, Hanumanji started jumping up, and he went and he started tearing Ravan's place apart, his pride and joy, Lanka. And he started taking pillars and throwing them down at the army. At that time, Angada saw it, and he thought, oh, look, there's Hanuman. Basically, he's having all the fun. So he jumped there, and they started terrorizing everyone in Lanka together. Everyone was screaming. I mean, if even one little tiny monkey comes in your room, you can understand how much havoc they cause. We've had it. But these Vanaras, they're like monkey-like, but they're men and they're mystics, and they were going through the place creating so much mischief. Finally, they had come down and they started fighting with so many warriors. And what they would do was, when they would find one of the big commanders and the chief of the army of Ravan or Indrajit, they would take them, they would beat them, and by their feet they would fling them to where Ram was. And they would be thrown, and they would fall right in front of Sri Ram. And Ram had his bow and arrow, and Bibhishan was next to him. And he would say, who is this? And then Bibhishan would say, this is such and such, the commander of this person. And then Ram would shoot them and send him to his own abode. And Tulsidas says how merciful, actually Shankar is telling this. And he's saying, who wouldn't worship such a merciful Lord, who understood that even though they were demons and they were going against him, even in their fear of him or their enmity of Ram, but they were continuously thinking of him and meditating on him and understanding that he gave them liberation. So I thought that was so beautiful. So they kept throwing, hurling these huge commanders, these Rakshasas, and they would land at the feet of Ram. So one of the things that was very, very...
That the last thing that they saw was Ram. They had darshan of Ram.
Yes, they had darshan of
and then
Ram.
Ram would say, who is this?
Yes.
So he's basically like, okay, entering them in his...
Yes.
Wow.
And Tulsidas makes a point to speak of that. And then it's talking about Hanuman's war cry. Hanuman is screaming this war cry, and it is shaking and shattering the hearts of the enemies. And when you read Mahabharata and you hear how he's on the flag of Arjuna, the way it is described is so excellent, like it's made of some kind of smoke and fire. And it goes...
The flag.
Yes, the flag. And it goes out in every direction, about 8 miles. And Hanumanji is literally, he is there. And he's sitting within this mystical flag, and he's screaming his war cry. And everyone on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all of the Kauravas are shaken. They're shocked by it. So Hanuman, he's battling all of these Rakshasas there, and his war cry is resounding. So is Angada's, so is Sugriva's, so is Jambavan's. All of them are out there. Dvivida, everyone is out there fighting, and their war cries are so loud. Intermixed with that, they're screaming, Jai Ram, victory to Ram. And Hanumanji, when he would kill somebody, he would say, because you have not surrendered to Ram, boom, you deserve this. And he would kill them. They would attain liberation.
So that the war cries were just
shattering their hearts.
Creating fear in the hearts of the enemies.
Yes. And Ravan is hearing all of this. So Indrajit comes out. And Indrajit begins to fight with Hanuman.
He's
the son of Ravan, the main, most powerful. He beat Indra, so he is called Indrajit. So he comes out and he's fighting with Angada, and he fights with Hanumanji. But he remembers Hanumanji, and he knows he's not ordinary. And he wasn't sure that he could actually fight with him. But Ram and Lakshman, he thinks they're just human beings. He thinks, I can get them. So he goes and he's looking for Ram and Lakshman. Somehow or other, he finds Lakshman. And Lakshman begins to fight with him. His fighting tactics were dirty.
Indrajit.
Yes, he would fight dirty. I think it was Lakshman who was saying something about it, that when you're fighting in a war, you don't resort to all kinds of tricks the way he was. He would go up into the sky where Lakshman couldn't see him. And then he would make the whole sky dark, where no one could see anything, pitch black as if they were blind. And then he would throw down like ostras of blood and pus and bones and stool and all kinds of horrific things. And then he made like a sandstorm, and no one could even see like their hand in front of their face. So everyone was bewildered and no one knew what to do. And Lakshman was trying to fight with him, but he was moving like lightning everywhere. So Ram saw that the whole army was out of sorts and the monkeys were becoming afraid. So smilingly, he took an astra that counteracted that Maya, and he made everything as bright as lightning. So everything was bright, and then all of a sudden they could see Indrajit. But Indrajit thought, I'm not going to fight with him. He's too powerful. And so he took a javelin and infused with an astra, he threw it at the heart, the chest of Lakshman. It hit Lakshman in the chest and he fell down. Everyone was completely shocked by this. So one thing that I thought was very interesting is when he saw that Lakshman had fallen to the ground and pretty much, as far as he knows, is dead, he tried to grab Lakshman and lift him and pull him. But Lakshman couldn't move. He was heavier than the heaviest. And there Tulsidas writes that Lord Shiva is saying, he who is holding up unlimited universes, who can lift him? It's quite impossible. So Indrajit left the battlefield. At that time, Hanumanji went and he lifted up Lakshman.
Hanuman could lift him.
Hanuman could lift him.
Because of devotion.
Yes. Hanuman lifted him. I'm trying to actually go fast. This will go on for a month.
Jaya! Don't rush it, please.
So they brought Lakshman to Sri Ram, who began to lament.
Did he still have a javelin?
Yes,
in his chest?
yes.
Wow.
And so he was lamenting, and Ram was like, or Lakshman was like,
Senseless.
completely unconscious. And Jambavan came there and he said, no, I think it was Bibhishan, one of the powerful warriors on Ram's side. They went to him and they said, in Lanka there is a very extraordinary doctor named Sushena, and he will know what to do. So Hanumanji, go and bring him here. Hanumanji made himself really small, and he was able to get into Lanka. In one place, I think it is in the Ramayana, it says that he took him by the house and all, or maybe it's the Ramcharitamanas. I think it's Ramcharitamanas, that he took him the whole house and brought him there. Hanumanji just doesn't have time to worry about niceness. He just picks the house up there. So Sushena came and offered his pranam, and to Ram, and then he saw Lakshman, and he began to tell Hanumanji.
Wasn't there I remember hearing in the past that he was a little hesitant, but they told him, you're a doctor. A doctor does not have the right to choose, to select. The doctor's duty is to heal whoever comes before him.
Nice.
You cannot say, oh, he's the enemy or he's
right,
not.
Right.
And as far as I know, that's the source of the Hippocratic Oath.
Nice.
I remember hearing that
I
many,
didn't
many
read
times.
that, but I was thinking of that today. And I was thinking about how even nowadays doctors, they take that oath that they will do no harm, that they're trying their utter best.
They can't pick and choose.
Right,
Like
yes.
if anyone comes before them, they have to do their best to heal
Right,
them.
right. I was thinking about that, but I didn't read it. But if you heard it, then it must have been. So anyway.
I'll do some research
yes.
on that.
Anyway, so he told Hanumanji, actually he told Ram and Lakshman that there is one mountain.
Lakshman was...
No. There are two times when the son Jivani is there, but this was actually a different time.
But you just told before that Lakshman had been... Oh.
Yes, but not that he's dead. He's completely
He's
unconscious.
unconscious.
Yes.
So he told Ram and Hanuman?
Yes. So he told Ram and Hanuman that he had to go to a particular mountain to get a particular kind of herb to heal Lakshman. So Hanumanji immediately flew there. Ravan was told by a spy everything that was going on the battlefield, and that Hanumanji was going to get something to relieve Lakshman. At that time, Ravan went to the house of one of his associates named Kalanemi. And Kalanemi was a Rakshasa, but kind of like Marichi. He could assume forms. He was very, very good at Maya. And he told him everything that he wanted him to do. He wanted him to stop Hanuman. And Kalanemi was hitting his head, and he was saying, how can I do this? That personality that burnt down Lanka, you want me to go and to try to stop him? And Ravan became so angry. And immediately Kalanemi thought, it's better to lose my life at the hands of the devotee of Ram than to lose my life with this personality consumed by sin. And so immediately he went very close to where Hanumanji was supposed to be finding this herb. So he created a lake and a hermitage and a very beautiful surrounding, and made himself like a rishi or a sadhu, and he was sitting down in meditation. Hanumanji, as he was coming to that place, saw, oh, look at this beautiful environment and what a beautiful lake. I've been fighting all this time and I'm so thirsty. Perhaps he will allow me to take some water and then I can continue with full vigor on this mission. So he landed there and he went in front of the sage and he asked him, can I please have water? And the sage, the false sage, picked up his own like little pot. And he said, here, you can take it and get water. And he said, oh, this isn't enough for me. I need a lot. I'm so thirsty. So he began to glorify Ram in talking about what was going on the battlefield.
Hanuman.
No, Kalanemi. Sorry, Kalanemi was. And Hanuman was hearing it in astonishment. So Kalanemi said, I am a seer. I can see because of my spiritual strength. I see everything and I know Ram will win. And he said, you should go, take some water and bathe and come back and I will give you a mantra and you too will become very spiritually evolved. So Hanumanji immediately went and he went to that river to try to get water, but a crocodile came and attacked him. Hanumanji killed this she-crocodile immediately and this beautiful Apsara came out. And she said, I was cursed by a sage, but just by darshan of you, I was purified from that. And she said, before I leave, I want you to know that that is not a sage, it's a demon. Be careful. And then she left and went to the heavens. Hanumanji finished taking water, and then he went back to the sage, and he said, O sage, O Guru, let me give you your Guru Dakshin that you deserve. And so he took his tail and wound it around the neck and head and smashed him to the ground. And at that moment he assumed his demoniac body and he was calling out, Ram, Ram, and he left his body. At that time, Hanumanji was so happy to hear him saying the name of Ram. And this is kind of interesting. One is that we should be very, very careful of false gurus. We have to be careful of these motives. Before we accept initiation from someone, we're told that we should take some time, see how that person does their sadhana, ask them relevant questions, get to hear about them from their disciples and from other Vaishnavas. Try to learn about them, because once you accept them as guru, those questions are supposed to be stopped. And this is one of the reasons we are supposed...
You mean the doubting question?
Yes. Because by then you have to see them as Sri Guru. You surrender your life. And if you haven't actually understood them and how they are, how they do their sadhana, what they preach, if you just immediately accept initiation, then if something goes wrong, then your whole life will be havoc when your spiritual life becomes that. So Hanuman is showing that as soon as he heard this thing, he didn't accept him and he punished him. Not that we should punish anyone, but pranam forever, that we stay in a very far distance. Do you want to say anything about this, false guru?
I just, I found where Gurudev was talking about Susena.
Oh!
Susena was Ravan's Ayurvedic doctor, and he was not willing to come and help.
That's why he brought the house.
Therefore, Hanuman lifted up his whole house and brought him there and convinced him to serve. He told the doctor, your business is to serve all without any prejudice. For a doctor, there is no consideration of enemy or friend. If an enemy comes to you, you should help him. So you should help him. And so he did.
Nice. Thank you. Does he say anything else?
Class. Yeah, he says lots of things, but I'm not telling it right now. Not about Susena, no.
Oh, about what happens next?
No, I don't know what happens next.
So Hanumanji goes and he doesn't know what's what. He's looking around and he goes, I don't understand. I don't in haste want to get the wrong thing. So he decided to lift up the mountain. And as he was flying...
Yes, Gurudev did say something. Gurudev said that the demons, Hanuman was trying to find that particular herb. And he was told that it would be glowing a particular glow.
That's a different one, but
oh,
okay.
Really?
Yeah, say it, because then I can repeat this.
Okay, so He was told that he would be able to recognize it because it would be situated on a certain mountain and was illuminated like light. But it so happened that the demons made all the plants in that mountain illuminate.
Oh.
So Hanuman therefore took the entire mountain on his head, and returned to Lakshman on the very same night.
Very interesting. This actually, within the Ramayana and Ramcharitamanas, happens a little later with the glowing.
Okay.
But it's good to know this because it is for Lakshman. Also, again, it is for Ram and Lakshman. But that's very interesting. So he's taking the mountain and he's flying back, but he's flying over Ayodhya. And as he's flying over Ayodhya, he's flying over where Bharat is, just outside of Ayodhya, who sees a flying mountain or a person carrying a mountain. So he shot like an arrow that didn't have, it was like a crescent arrow, and it hit Hanuman. And he started falling down to the earth, and he was calling out, "Oh, Raghunath, Raghupati, Ram, Ram," and he fell to earth. As soon as Bharat heard this, he ran and he held Hanuman, and he was trying to wake him. And then he started saying, "If I only have within my heart loved Ram, if he is my everything, I'm begging you, oh God of wind, earth, sun, fire, please help him, help him." And immediately Hanumanji opened his eyes. And Bharat, he was asking him, "How do you know Ram? I thought you were some kind of frightening being, and it's my duty to protect this place." And he said, "Oh, I'm Hanumanji." And he said, "How do you know Ram?" And then Bharat said, "I'm his brother, and please tell me, I haven't heard about him in like almost 14 years. Hanumanji gave a quick synopsis of what was going on, how Ravan took Sita and how they crossed the bridge, all of this. And now Lakshman is lying there and he's bringing this to him. At that moment, he started to cry, "Woe is me and my life, like fie on me. What have I been born for? Everything that I've touched becomes ruined and I can't even serve Ram." And then he composed himself. He said, "Hanuman, you don't have time. Time is of the essence." He said, "You can sit on my arrow. I will fly it very, very quickly to Ram." And Hanuman, his kind of pride came up and he's like, "How can I sit on your arrow with a mountain?" Anyway, he was thinking for Ram and for his brothers, nothing is impossible. And he jumped through the air. I don't remember reading that he sat on the arrow, but anyway, he flew. But he was continuously remembering Bharat and his glories and his love of Ram. Immediately he went to where Lakshman was, and Sushena took the herbs that were necessary.
What was the name of the herb?
No, this one wasn't called Sanjeevani.
You sure?
Yes. I mean, the Sanjeevani was for if they were dead.
Mm.
This one, he wasn't dead. Because Jambavan and Vibhishen were saying to Ram, don't lose your composure here. I can still see he's breathing. There's still some life to him. Mm. So it was a different herb, but it did the same thing. He was able to get up and be cured. So everyone was very happy, and Hanumanji immediately went and returned the mountain. Mm. So the next thing that happened is...
That's a different time where people used to put things
back where they found
place. Them. They weren't just throwing stuff everywhere, unless it was the camp of the enemy.
So I'm not going to go as late as last night. I do want to tell this part because I think that it's really...
essential.
Well, it's beautiful, and I want to end on this. So the next day, there was another very, very big fight. And again, shocked by all of what happened, I think it was Indrajit who came out and started... Yes, it was Indrajit who came out and started fighting with all of the warriors. It was a huge and fierce battle. If you read about it, it's actually unbelievable what was going on. But again, Indrajit began to do his Maya tactics, and he was again raining down horrible...
Dirty.
Yeah, fighting dirty. horrible things on the battlefield.
Like pus, blood, and stool,
and bones.
So definitely dirty.
And then another thing that he was doing was with his Maya, he was creating all of these really horrible creatures that were dancing and drinking blood from skulls and laughing and screeching, frightening all of the warriors of Ram. And Ram saw this, and again he smiled and he shot a counter astra that again dispelled this Maya. But then Indrajit saw that they could see him and they started fighting with him very strong. So he sent a Brahmastra. And what I've been reading is that when they say a Brahmastra, that means that it is an astra given by Lord Brahma, but they're not always the same. Because you hear when Ram was going to kill the bird, the crow who had made Sita bleed, he called his Brahmastra and he put it in a blade of grass. And it wasn't the same heavy weight as the Brahmastra that he was going to use on the ocean. So now this Brahmastra, it was an astra given, it was called the Nagapasha. Nagapasha.
How do you spell it?
Nagapasa.
Nagapasha.
Nagapasha. So he threw this astra, and Ram and Lakshman, this is like a failsafe, that it kills anyone, no matter the warrior. It's a snake astra.
Okay.
And so they wound themselves around Ram and Lakshman, so much so that they were overcome and fell on the battlefield. Plus, they were riddled with all kinds of arrows. He was shooting arrows at them as they were being bound by this snake. And immediately,
how many snakes?
I don't know, but immediately, many snakes. Immediately, Indrajit was confident of victory because this was his failsafe. He knew this would kill them. So he went back to Lanka, ran to his father and told him that they are gone, they are dead, and everyone in Lanka began to celebrate. So at that time, they were all of the monkeys and everybody were very upset. No one knew what to do. They were crying and they were calling for Sushena again. And Sushena was thinking, okay, there's a mountain and it's in between Mount Kailash, and he was talking all these things. And at that time, the earth started to tremble and they saw a huge shadow come over them and wind was roaring and blowing past them. Everyone began to look up and they saw that it was Garuda. And as soon as Garuda was coming close, those snakes became afraid. In one place, it is said that he ate them all up and they disappeared. And in another place, it says that they just completely became frightened because Garuda was their enemy.
Natural enemy of snakes.
Yes. So they left. And immediately he took his hands and he passed them over the bodies of Ram and Lakshman. And immediately they were completely healed and opened their eyes. And Ram just looked at Garuda and he was asking, I forgot something. This was an important thing I forgot. We're rewinding. Rewind, everyone, right?
And then when you come back to this, I also have what Gurudev said on this Hanuman Garuda.
Oh, okay. Oh, what you told me the other day.
No, I never told this to you.
Oh, okay. So you were telling me the other thing. Yeah. You have to save something for Hanuman Jayanti.
Yeah, but this is what you were just telling me.
Okay. So before this, rewind. As they were laying on this bed of arrows and they were wrapped in these snake coils, Ravan, when he heard that they were dead, he told his Rakshashis to take Sita on his Pushpaka, his chariot, and to bring her to see Ram and Lakshman devastated there. So the one Rakshashi who was very friendly and cared for Sita, who was really within her heart very sweet, she went on the Pushpaka with Sita and it flew up. And they went over the whole battlefield. And it says how she saw all of the devastation. Tulsidas says that the blood was everywhere and it went into crevices, and then there was ash from all of the astras, and it looked like burning coals everywhere. The whole place was devastated. There were horses dead everywhere, elephants, and bodies all over the place. She saw bears and monkeys and rakshasas.
Her name is Trijata. Trijata, the one who was...
Trijata. And so they took Sita. She took Sita, and Sita saw Ram and Lakshman lying there, looking like they were dead. And she began to weep and weep. And at that time, Trijata?
Yes, Trijata.
She actually, then and there, started consoling her and saying, they're not dead. She said, this Pushpaka will never carry a widow. It's impossible. So if they were gone, this wouldn't be flying. This is again their tricks to try to confuse you and make you bend to his will. Don't worry, they're okay.
Wow.
And then they went back. So I thought that was an important thing that I shouldn't have missed. So Garuda, please tell what you were going to tell.
So Gurudev said that Ram and Lakshman were bound by the Nagapasha, the ropes, the snake ropes. And they had fallen unconscious and were about to die. Both Ram and Lakshman had fallen unconscious. By the instruction of Narad, Hanuman brought Garuda from Vaikuntha.
Yes.
Hanuman went to Vaikuntha.
It didn't say where I said, it didn't say Vaikuntha, but Narad saw it and told to go get Hanuman.
When Garuda arrived, just by smelling the scent of Garuda, all the snakes fled. Garuda then had a doubt. He thought, who is this person? Can it be Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? No, this person can never be Ram. I'm the servant of Ram. By the mere glance of Ram, those snakes would have all left immediately. They would not be able to even come to Ram. Yet they were binding this person? When I came, by my influence, they quickly gave up this person. So who is he? So this is actually leading up.
Continue. This is Gurudev.
Garuda went to his Gurudev, Shankar, that's Lord Shiva. But his Gurudev told him, I have no time. I'm going just now. You should go to Kakabhushandi.
You come here and read this. This is really good. This is important.
Just finishing.
Okay.
Kakabhushandi is the king, is a crow. And Garuda, the eagle, is the king of all birds. So Lord Shiva says, you should go to Kakabhushandi. You are the king of birds. So you should go to the most wretched among all the birds, a crow. You should go there. Shankar gave this instruction in order to remove Garuda's pride. Garuda approached Kakabhushandi. He heard from him the glory of Sri Ram for many years, and all kinds of doubts went away. This was only due to Hanuman.
Wow. That is, yeah.
Nice?
Yeah. So, I think because it's 8:30, or should I go a little bit more?
Well, there's got to be something. Do you have anything all is well that ends sweetly?
It's something a little funny, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah?
Madhurena samarpayet.
Okay. So, after this, Ravan becomes furious, and he sends out some of his most powerful generals. And they begin to fight with Ram and Lakshman and Hanumanji and Angada and Sugriva, and they defeat them all. He sends some of his very powerful sons. Again, they become defeated. Finally, Ravan comes out. And Ravan, it's so beautiful the way it's told, how Hanumanji sees him and he kicks him, and Ravan falls, and then he gets up and he fights, he punches Hanuman, and Hanuman falls. And all of this is going on. Sugriva comes in and he starts fighting with Ravan, and then Angada comes. All of them are trying to fight with Ravan, and Ravan has his eyes set. He wants to fight with Ram. So Ram is really happy with this, and he comes in front of Ravan, and they see each other. And I'll do the Ravan, you wretch. What?
Ram tells Ravan what?
Anyway, he starts fighting. I don't know what that look was.
No, I was just listening to what you were saying.
Okay, so Ravan, now I'm confused. Ravan was in front of Ram and they started fighting. And they were having a battle of words. And then finally, they start really fighting with each other. They were breaking, Ram was breaking his chariot. He took the banner off of it. He killed his horsemen. He killed the horses. And he started fighting with Ravan, so much so that Ravan was being overcome. And Ram stopped fighting him. And Ram said, "Oh, you must be so tired. You should just go back to your house and rest a little bit. You have my permission. You should go and rest. And when you are strong enough, you can come back and we can fight." So Ram just sent him home. And he was so humiliated. He was so angry. How dare he? First of all, he was shocked. But he put most of the blame on the fact that he was so sorrowful at losing so many of his sons. So he thought, okay, I'm weak because of that, but how dare he humiliate me? How dare he treat me in such a way? He was furious. So then he called for thousands of Rakshasas to go into a cave where his brother Kumbhakarna was sleeping. And this is where we will leave it today, with the humiliation of Ravan. So, do you want me to tell any more?
Just what did Ram say to Ravan when they had their conversation?
We can do that again. I thought you didn't want me to say it now. I thought you wanted me to say it later. Oh, okay, I'll do it later. Okay. So, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to again try to remember some of the sweet glories of the Lord. We still have a bit of the war left, and so I guess the day after tomorrow?
Yeah, because tomorrow we are observing Balaram Rasa Yatra, Krishna Vasanti Rasa, what is it? The appearance day of Shyamananda, and Bhankshi Badan Goswami.
So tomorrow's a big day for us, so we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break of the war. So we'll just come back to that the day after, which is also Hanuman Jayanti. So we'll try to get through most of the war, but we want to talk as much as we can about Hanumanji. So maybe we'll be able to intersperse the glories of Hanumanji throughout the war to remember the glories of the greatest devotee of Sri Ram. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I know I've missed out so many details, and I know that there are so many things that I didn't tell on purpose, and I might have mixed things up. So please forgive me for any fault. I'm very, very full of faults, so forgive me if I've shown them to you in too many places. I'm trying my best to remember and to tell what I have heard from our Gurudev and also what I have read from these most extraordinary scriptures. And I'm so grateful that I've been given this opportunity, and I will be back the day after tomorrow, and you'll be here tomorrow.
Yes.
So, Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe. Oh.
And we're going to do a birthday blessings also for Rudra Prabhu.
Should we do it now or after?
After.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Patik Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. I thought you were gonna.
Oh.
Prem Purushottam. Actually, yes. Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki Jai. Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki Jai. Radha Ramana Ju ki Jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtana ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki Jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
It's also Jiva Priya Prabhu Vishnu. It's his birthday too.
Okay.
So we will do for both.
Jai. Okay. So, today we are observing the birthday of Rudra Gupta Prabhu, particularly, and also the birthday of Jiva Priya Das. So, first, you should be present, sit down in front of all of the Vaishnavas in your mind and in your heart. All Vaishnavas, please get your flowers together, virtual flowers if you don't have the real ones. And we will be remembering our Srila Gurudev as he would give blessings to the birthday boys.
I guess it's also one devotee, Venugopal Das's birthday, Balabhadra Prabhu is saying.
Okay.
So here.
So, and Gurudev would tell these particular blessings, and everyone can repeat after me. Mangalam bhavatu.
Mangalam bhavatu.
Gurunishta bhavatu.
Gurunishta bhavatu.
Krishna bhaktir bhavatu.
Krishna bhaktir bhavatu.
Radha dasyam bhavatu.
Radha dasyam bhavatu.
And then Srila Gurudev would say, may you be happy now. May you be happy in any future situation or any future life. May you be happy all the way into perfection forever.
Jai Ho.
Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai.
Happy birthday Rudra Gupta, Venugopal and Jiva Priya Prabhu, Vishnu Prabhu.
And Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Bolo Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Shri Vino Bihari Ju ki
Jai.
Jai Jai
Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam.
Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
So thank you all very much for being with us and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev, our Guru Varga, and especially these days, the beautiful pastimes of Sri Ram. Also, we'd like to express our indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to follow the order of our Srila Gurudev, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna,
Radhe
Radhe Radhe,
Radha Vino Bihari Ju Sachinandana
Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Chivriamo domani, hasta mañana, kal milenge. Happy, happy birthday.